demonstration held yesterday, Tuesday, May 23rd, at Hammershall Plaza in New York. We read this statement into the record of the discussion of the permanent forum under this agenda item as a collective statement of the North American region at this session as follows. Warm greetings. I am here as a representative of the nations of Treaty 6, 7, and 8 territory in what is now known as Canada to express our solidarity and support for our brothers and sisters, the Indigenous peoples of the Chittagong Hills Tract. We began our work at the United Nations in the 1970s with instructions given by our elders to seek recognition and respect for the treaties made between our nations and the British Crown. They told us to carry this work forward based on the following four principles: the inherent right to self-determination and Cree government, the original spirit and intent of treaties as sacred agreements, third, mutual consent, fourth, peaceful coexistence and mutual responsibility to honor the international treaties. For as long as the sun shines, the grass grows, and the river flows. We have carried this work forward in the international area since that time, based on these instructions from our elders, which are now reflected in the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, among other achievements. Along the way, we learned that there are Indigenous peoples and nations from other regions that shared our history, aspirations, and perspectives as treaty nations. We learned, for example, that the treaty concluded between the Mckay and the British Crown, represented by the British East Indian Company in 1787, predates our treaty, Treaty 6, which was concluded in 1876. We also fully support the call of the Jama peoples for the full implementation of the Chittagong Hills Tracts Accord of 1997, in particular regarding demilitarization of their homelands, addressing impunity for human rights violations, halting violence and human rights violations against Indigenous women, and resolution of land disputes, including the establishment of an effective mechanism for redress, developed and implemented with the full participation of the Indigenous peoples. This would include the return of lands. We call upon the Permanent Forum to recognize and support the recommendations of the Special Rapporteur on the status of implementation of the Chittagong Hills Tracts Accord of 1997, which was presented here today, and call upon the states in question, in particular, to fully implement this accord, in keeping with the preambular paragraphs and Article 37 of the UN Declaration, which address treaties and treaty relations. I was very honored to stand with the Joma people today in solidarity as we call upon the United Nations to recognize this long struggle and to support the vision and aspirations for respect, recognition, and implementation. We will continue to stand together as treaty nations.